Hey guys, welcome to a brand new video on my channel, Makes Movies. If you are new to this channel, this is basically where I talk to you guys about my passion for movies. This goes from collections, hauls, reviews, and today's video, so let's get into it. So I have done a couple of these videos before in the past, especially this year. So I thought, why not do one for the horror season? And that is the A to Z of horror movies. So these are my go-to for each letter of the alphabet. I am missing Y and U. Now, for Y, I couldn't really see one that I'd pick anyway, at least from what I can see. And U, the only U I've seen is Underworld. And to me, that's not really a horror. So the only other film I can think of is Urban Legends, and I have not watched that yet. I have it in my collection, but I haven't watched it yet. So I didn't want to put it on the list because for all I know, I might hate that movie. So didn't want to include it. But I do have all the other letters. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 I do not own physically. So there will be posters that I put here. But the rest I own physically. There is one when it comes to H. I've brought the physical media out for it, but it's not for the film you think it is. I'll explain. But yes, I thought, why not continue the spooky season vibes, like I said, and do an A to Z of horror, because to be honest, I think this is something I haven't done. I know I've done A to Z of like my favourite films, and then I've done live action, animation, but I've not done anything separate, so I look forward to seeing what you guys think of this. So let's get into it. So at A, this is a movie that's actually come out this year, and that is Abigail. I really, really enjoy this film. There's a lot of good films under A that I haven't seen yet. I mean, Alien, I've heard a lot of good things about that. Haven't seen it yet, but I will do because I want to watch Alien Romulus. But when I was looking through all the A's, this was the one that popped in my head the most because I really enjoyed this film. Such a good modern vampire film. It's directed by the people that did Ready or Not, so at the end of the day, I should have known I was going to enjoy this. And even my mum enjoyed this. I know. But yeah, so Abigail, 100% had to be in my A. Then we're on to B, and of course, if you watched my top 10 horror movies, you know what that one's going to be. The Blair Witch Project. I really enjoyed this film. Someone did put a comment on my top 10 horror movies that Cannibal Holocaust was the first found footage film. I do apologise, I completely forgot about that film, but I think it's this film pushed the popularity of it. But no, this is an absolute classic found footage film. Is it scary? Not so much. When I first watched it, it was, but upon rewatches, it's not as scary, but it's still got that creepy vibe, especially since it's 3 people getting lost in the woods. Seriously, absolute classic. Then at C, we have Child's Play. Of course, there was no way I was not going to include this. Absolute classic. I really enjoy all the films in this franchise, but I'm going to show the first one for the simple fact of this is probably my favourite, to be honest. I am going to do a ranking at some point this year, hopefully during October, of this franchise. But as I say, I thought I'd show the first one because, to be honest, this probably is my favourite out of the whole lot. Maybe number 2, I'm not sure. But no, I had to include Child's Play on this list. This is one I haven't really talked about much on the channel. But D is Drag Me to Hell. So this actually surprised me. My old manager Sam, hi Sam if you're watching this, he was getting rid of some films and this was one of them. In fact, he actually recommended this film to me. And I thought, you know what? Why not give it a watch? And you know, this creeped me out more than I thought it did. And so the story is very weird. Such a weird film as well, to be honest. And the ending, oh my god, the ending threw me out completely. But no, when I was looking through, say, like I said, when I was looking through the genre of horror and trying to find some for these letters, I'm not going to lie, as soon as I saw this poster pop up, I was like, yep, has to be this one. Next one for E, I think some people aren't going to be surprised that this is the letter E. Evil Dead. Yeah, I know. I'm struggling to pick between this one, Evil Dead Rise, and the remake as to which one are my favourites. They're the top 3. But no, I had to include the Evil Dead. It's an absolute classic, and I couldn't think of anything else to put in E, to be honest. Not straight away anyway. Possibly Escape Room, maybe. That might have been my next choice. But no, E has to be Evil Dead. F, I think we all know what F is going to be, and that is Fright Night. The original. Could be the remake as well. I enjoyed both so much. But no, this was my first vampire film. If you are new to this channel, you wouldn't be aware of this. But yes, so Fright Night, absolute classic. If you want an early vampire film with some really good practical effects, this is one I'd recommend. Okay, at G, we have another one that people are probably not going to be surprised by. Gremlins, because this was in my top 10. So anything that was in my top 10 horror movies list that I did the other day will be on this list. Apart from Freaky, that was obviously Fright Night was going to take the top spot. But no, Gremlins, although he's cute and adorable, these Gremlins here are creepy. Not going to lie, they do creep me out most of the time, especially Spike. But no, this is a classic horror film. Well, Christmas/horror film. And yeah, again, if you want something with good practical effects, this is one I'd recommend. So with H, like I said, I'm only going to show one of the physical media things I have. Because to be honest, I think my favourite one out of this franchise has to be, I think it's like the 4th film? No, 7th film, I think. I could be wrong. But I'm showing Halloween Ends, but it's actually Halloween H2O that I really enjoy. But I thought I've got the physical media of Halloween, so why not show it off? Especially since this is one of those rare steelbooks. But no, Halloween H2O, absolutely. I do enjoy the original Halloween, do not get me wrong. But I think because H2O gave me that Scream vibe, I think that's why I go for that one. But I thought, why not show off this unique steelbook at the same time? Look at the reflection on that. But yeah, so H is Halloween H2O. Okay, at I did struggle with this one a little bit. But eventually I went with It, and this is the 2017 remake. I did like the original, but I think because I watched this one before I watched the original, I think that's why I love this one a bit more. Plus also it's a modern retelling of the Stephen King story, and I think it does it really well. Creeps me out, especially since I'm not terrified of clowns, but to be honest, Bill Skarsgård, you creep me out, man, as It. Like, you did such a great job. Tim Curry made me laugh more than anything. But I think if I'd watched the original It when I was younger, maybe then I would have been creeped out by it more. But no, Stephen King's It, the 2017 remake. I couldn't think of anything else. I struggled. I looked at some of the others and I thought, what really sticks out? And this was the one that sticked out the most. So this is one I do not own physically, and that is J, and that is for Jennifer's Body. Now, I did have another J that I had put it in its place, Jaws. But then I thought about it some more, and I thought, which one do I feel like I would have seen more of? And that is Jennifer's Body. I've only watched Jaws once. I think I may have seen Jennifer's Body twice. Definitely once, but I think twice. I'm not really sure. But it's such a different horror film. Very weird horror film, but still. But no, it's one of those ones that's sort of like, if you want something a bit out there, this is probably one I'd recommend. Especially since I heard rumours that they might possibly do a sequel to it, which would be quite funny. But you've got Amanda Seyfried in it, you've got Megan Fox, there's so many good actors in this film. And like I said, it's just a weird film. But when I was picking between Jennifer's Body and Jaws, I was like, which one do I remember the most? And I was going to have to be completely honest and be like, Jennifer's Body. But that's one I don't own, surprisingly. I'm surprised I actually don't. Might be one to add to the collection later. Okay, at K, we have Knock at the Cabin. I really did struggle to pick one for K. But then this popped up, so I thought, why not? I have only watched this film once, and I will say it was a really good film. One of M. Night Shyamalan's better films. I haven't seen all of them. But like I said, with K, I did really struggle to pick one. So I just kind of went for the one that was more recently stuck in my mind. So I'm not going to talk about this one too much. Okay, L is one I've watched recently, and that is The Lost Boys. Cannot believe it's took me this long to watch this vampire film. I love vampire films. You'd think I would have seen at least this classic before, but I hadn't. But no, I had to include it. It's such a good film. Such a good film, and it's one I would definitely return to. I think this is probably like my third favourite vampire film, maybe. It's a toss-up between Abigail and The Lost Boys as to what's my second. But no, if you want a classic vampire film, this is one I'd recommend. And you know what? I had a huge crush on, what was his name? Michael. I only watched that film once, and I changed my phone screensaver to a picture of Michael. That's how much I had a crush on him. What? Couldn't help it. He's cute. But carrying on. Someone's banging outside my freaking house. Apologies. M. I don't think many people are going to be surprised that I've put this at M. Megan, or Mithrigan, whichever you want to call it. Of course, I was going to put this on here. When I was looking at all the M's, I thought, do I go ironic and pick my name? Yeah, I thought, why not? Plus, also, to be honest, I really enjoyed this film. More than I thought I was going to. I'd watched the trailer for it and I thought, it's not going to be that great. I do wish it was R-rated because I had heard rumours it was supposed to be. So I feel like the kills could have been a bit more gory. So I think if this had been an R-rated film, I think this probably would have got a bit more love. But for the fact that it was a 15, not bad. And it was very popular. In fact, we're getting a Megan 2.0. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to be about. At N, I'm going to be very quick to talk about this one as well, and that is A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. Hands down, absolute classic. Freddy Krueger, you give me nightmares for years. I've had dreams about him, and it's like, what the hell? But no, if you want something that's a bit more psychological horror in the sense, definitely give this one a go. Okay, the next one is O, and this is another one that I really struggled to pick from because there has not really been many that I've watched begin with O. And I went with Orphan. I have only watched this film once, so I'm really not going to talk about it for that long. I do remember the little girl creeping me out. I do still need to watch Orphan First Kill at some point. I know that's now on Paramount Plus, so I'll give that a go. But I do remember Orphan, you know, the twist and stuff like that. I thought that was quite surprising. But like I said, Orphan, I think I do need to give it another watch. But that's the only O I could put in this list. So, apologies, but there's only a brief chat about that one. Next one is P, and that is Paranormal Activity. Of course, I was going to put it on the list. If it was in my top 10, it's going to be in this list. Another classic found footage film. In fact, I don't know why many people didn't enjoy this. I did. I think all the films are fun in some way. Some of them not as much as this one, but they do get some kind of entertainment value from me. But no, Paranormal Activity had to be at P. Okay, at Q, I've gone for A Quiet Place. I cannot believe the first time I went to go and see this film, and because you have to be quiet in that film, you felt the need to be quiet in the cinema because it was just this weird feeling. And for me, if a cinema experience can do that, that will stick in my mind forever. And so hence why Q for A Quiet Place. I can't imagine anything else topping this because, to be honest, that cinema experience, I had popcorn and I was worried about making noise with my popcorn. That is how quiet it was in the cinema. Not like these days where people are chatting on their phones, all that. This film made you want to be quiet, and I could not believe how, mentally that freaked me out. Okay, so at R, not many people will be surprised by this either. Ready or Not, this was in my top 10 list. Honest to God, if you have not watched Radio Silence's films, definitely give them a go. They have all been entertaining. Scream 5, Scream 6, Ready or Not, Abigail. I think there's a couple of theirs I still haven't watched yet. But honest to God, if you have not watched them, give them a go. They're new upcoming directors. I think they're brilliant. I mean, they did Devil's Due that was a very weird film, not gonna lie, especially the ending. What the hell? But there's some of their other films I haven't watched yet. But no, Radio Silence, absolutely amazing directors, and this film, brilliant. Such a unique sort of story, and just hilarious, scory, it's creepy, it's fun. So if you have not watched this, recommend you do. Okay, S, of course, we all know what S is going to be. Scream. So I'm literally going to leave it at that. We all know, if you are new to this channel, Scream is my absolute favourite franchise of all time. This is the film that got me into horror. I'm not going to say any more than that, but if you are regulars to this channel, you know that this was going to be a S. Nothing else would. Okay, the next one is T, and this one I do not own either, and that is Talk to Me. Yes, Talk to Me. This film, I only watched it because a lot of people were saying it's such a good film. And my concern is when people say, oh, this is a really good film, you should watch it. Sometimes it's not as good as I think it's going to be because the hype got too much for me. Not with this film. This film weirded me out so much. They did such a good job with this film. It's such a unique film as well. If you want a modern horror film that's different, Talk to Me is one I'd recommend. It is on Netflix. If you have not watched it, seriously, go and watch it. It's Netflix. If you've got Netflix, it's free. Give it a go. So Talk to Me, absolutely amazing modern film. And one I'm actually going to probably try and rewatch this Halloween or November. I do want to watch it again. And you know what? I might even add it to my collection at some point. So U, I do not have. But V, I have. And I have gone with Valentine. Yeah, I know, this is not exactly one that's talked about a lot. And I feel like it does need to be talked about more. I think this is a fun little film. Is it kind of Scream in a way? Kind of. It's a masked killer going around killing these people. But it's still fun. You know, it's certainly a different take on Valentine's Day. Plus, also, the main reason I watched this because of David Boreanaz, Angel from Buffy. Only reason why I watched this film, to be honest. But I was quite surprised at how much I did enjoy this film. And so, it's just a fun little cast. Some of these, I think it's just David Boreanaz and Katherine Heigl I've seen. I think the other two, I hadn't really seen them in much. But Valentine, cute little Valentine's Day movie if you're not in the Valentine's Day mood. Okay, at W, I do not own this one as well, and that is Wrong Turn. This is the very first one. I have only seen the first 3 films. I have not seen the others, but when I do, expect a ranking. But yeah, when it comes to W, yet again, kind of like with O, I really struggled to think of what to have in this one because I hadn't watched many. But as soon as Wrong Turn popped up on the horror genre bit, I was like, right, I'm going to have to go with Wrong Turn. Plus it has Alicia Dushku, I think is how you say her name. Faith from Buffy, so hence why I picked that. Plus also the cannibals creeped me out for years after watching this film. For years. In fact, I've had nightmares about cannibals. And that's a scary thought because I was in the woods on my own in this dream. So thank you, Wrong Turn, for putting nightmares in my head. But no, if you are not a fan of cannibalism, I would not watch this film. It's not too bad in the sense of, like, Cannibal Holocaust from what I've heard. But I will say if you do not like people eating people, don't watch this film. Because it can get a little bit grim. Okay, and we're now down to the last 2 letters that I have, because obviously I don't have Y. But X I've gone for X, because that was the only one I could think of. And honestly, kind of like with Talk to Me, this had a lot of hype, so I weren't really sure how I was going to feel going into it. Then I rented it and I enjoyed it. I was quite surprised. I still need to watch Pearl, which I have picked up, and then I've obviously got to watch Maxine as well. But this is certainly a different horror film. Certainly different, but it's very odd. So I would say if you want something a bit different, definitely go for X. And of course, at Z, the final letter of the alphabet, Zombieland. There's nothing else going to go at Z. Just, honest to God, one of my favourite zombie films of all time. In fact, I'm actually currently watching The Walking Dead, which has got me in the mood for watching zombie films. So I might watch this week. And I might even do a top 10 zombies movies. Oh, but then have I got 10 zombie movies I can pick? I don't know. But Zombieland, absolutely classic zombie film. This came out in, what, 2009? Yeah, 2009. So this is a few years old, but still holds up. I mean, like I've said before in my top 10 video list, just Tallahassee looking for a Twinkie makes the film funny. I don't know why. But all the other characters are good. The zombie effect makeups look really good. I love the whole rule situation. Just, honest to God, one of the absolute best zombie films out there. And one I seriously recommend you watch. If you like Shaun of the Dead, you'll like Zombieland is what I'm going to say. But yes, so that is my A to Z of horror movies. I hope you enjoyed this list. I'd love to know your guys' list as well. So put it in the comments down below, your A to Z. Is there any that you'd recommend me to watch out of these letters that I might have not seen before? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you are new to this channel, then go ahead, hit that subscribe button and also notification bell down below. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!